Good evening and thanks for joining us. Our top story, a drive-by shooting in broad daylight.
Just hours ago on the Hamilton Mountain, police say someone in a car opened fire on the driver of another vehicle. Dale Monuktuk is live on scene with the details. All right, Dale, what can you tell us?
There's still a heavy police presence here on Mohawk Road East. There's a forensics truck down that way and several officers still maintaining the scene behind me. Now, police say that this dark gray BMW was traveling westbound on Mohawk Road when a white four-door Volkswagen opened fire on the driver of the BMW, causing him to crash into this white two-door Golf. Police responded to the scene shortly after 1 p.m.
The call originally came in as a motor vehicle accident, but we quickly determined that it was a shooting. Victim sustained serious, non-life-threatening injuries and has been transported to hospital.
Here's what nearby resident John Westwater had to say.
I was sitting in my basement right at the window, which was open, and I heard pop, 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 and then crash.
Multiple people say they heard anywhere from 5 to 10 gunshots. You can see at least 4 very clearly. Hamilton police believe that David Anderson was the victim of a targeted robbery. They say that there was an incident that happened inside his house and that led to him being shot in the alleyway outside. Earlier today, Hamilton police released a short video of 4 men fleeing the scene that they believe are suspects in this murder. Hamilton police released this short edited video of 4 men fleeing the scene where David Anderson was shot. The alleyway is just west of Chestnut Avenue. Police haven't released any descriptions of the suspects other than their men. Major Crimes Unit Detective Sergeant Steve Berezouk believes Anderson was the victim of a targeted robbery that started inside his home.
I don't know how or why these individuals would know David. That's something we're still looking into, but we believe that they went to his house for a purpose, and that resulted in him being shot.
Police believe that drugs were involved.
Specifically what was taken, I won't comment on it. It is evidence for this investigation.
Berezouk says Anderson wasn't known to police.
He had a very minor few incidents with Hamilton police, but certainly nothing that would indicate his involvement in an incident like this.
Officers remained on scene today conducting a ground search of the area where Anderson was found shot and the alleyway headed westbound.
I don't think anybody necessarily has anything to fear at the moment, other than the fact that we do have people out there with obviously a handgun that we haven't recovered yet.
Paramedics arrived before 10:30 on Wednesday night. David Anderson was rushed to Hamilton General Hospital, where he died shortly after 11. Family and friends have been sharing messages of condolence online, writing of Anderson, such a beautiful soul taken way before his time. Dave protected that neighborhood and park. He would take the shirt off his back for you. And he was a brother to me and son to my parents. Anderson is described as someone with a huge heart, an avid gamer and loving father. He leaves behind a mother and daughter and large extended family who live in the same area. Now, what you're seeing now is new video just obtained by CHCH News, sent over by the Hamilton police. This is the latest and most clear video of the suspects in this murder investigation. I just got off the phone with Detective Sergeant Steve Berezouk of Major Crime Unit, who says that this video was taken from the corner of Sherman Avenue North and the suspects are headed down Rosemont. Now, what's interesting about this video is that there are only 3 men in this video, which means one of them has left in between that grainy footage you saw earlier and the footage that you're seeing now. Now, Hamilton police are still asking the public to review their security footage between the hours of 10 p.m. and later so they can identify these 3 suspects. Back to you.
Security footage of a parking lot next to a Lure Lounge on Barton Street shows what police are calling a senseless shooting. It happened on Wednesday in broad daylight. A black car stops on Oak Street. The driver, who police are still searching for, gets out and approaches a parked car. He then opens fire, hitting a man police have identified as 23-year-old Hamilton resident Donovan Hines. As the man takes off in the black car, Hines can be seen shooting back, the bullets going through the windshield.
Those rounds that were fired from the car have not been recovered. We had to have detectives actually search buildings across the street, knocking on doors to make sure that nobody was hit inside those buildings and those apartments.
No one else was hurt in the gunfire, but police are yet to find the bullets. Hines remains in hospital in stable condition. He's facing 7 firearms-related charges, including discharging a firearm with recklessness. Police say Hines has been arrested and charged before. They wouldn't confirm when or with what charges, but a man the same age with the same name was arrested on Barton Street in 2018 for his involvement in an assault, robbery, and shooting. He can be seen in this security footage from the court hearing in 2019, approaching then 20-year-old John Rodriguez's apartment, also on Barton Street in Hamilton. Another man seen next to Hines wearing a hooded jacket shot Rodriguez inside. Both pleaded guilty in court. Police say they have no suspects for a shooting that happened just in the parking lot behind me here. They also have no descriptions at this time outside of a surveillance video that shows a man dressed in all black and a surgical mask. Police are searching for a 2007 or 2008 black Pontiac G5 and a man between 5'10" and 6'5" in height. Police believe this was a targeted shooting, though they don't yet have a motive. Officers are also asking anyone with information to please come forward. Emily Taylor, CHCH News, Hamilton. Witnesses say they heard shouting as 2 men ran to the parking lot behind a convenience store. Then 3 shots rang out. It happened around 3 p.m. today at the corner of King Street and Caroline Street.
Some people looked scared and some people were just oblivious.
Police say a young man died from gunshot wounds on scene. Family members tell CHCH it was 19-year-old Sabir Hassan Omar of Hamilton. They waited next to the area police had caution taped off for most of the day, hoping to get more information from detectives.
A warning tonight about this next story. Police have released disturbing security video of a man being shot to death as they try and hunt down the killer or killers. The suspects quickly and suddenly run over to the car where the victim is and open fire at point-blank range. The shocking video captured by security cameras in a strip mall last month in the Dufferin and Bowie area. The victim.
Well, a 7-year-old boy was rushed to hospital after he was shot in his home yesterday in Hamilton. CBC's Linda Ward is there and joins us now live. Linda, walk us through what happened.
Well, John, neighbors say it was about 8 o'clock last night when they heard 2 loud bangs coming from outside this home here. This is on Gordon Street in the east end of Hamilton, Ontario. And those loud bangs, gunshots coming from outside the home into the main floor of the house, hitting a 7-year-old boy. Now, one neighbor who lives 3 doors down from this home heard the mother screaming and ran out to see if he could help.
The first new developments tell you about in the shooting death of a man in Hamilton. Police say they've identified a 24-year-old who was shot in the driveway of his home on the mountain last night. Detectives say Shaden Storer was attacked and his attacker is still at large. Kelly Botello brings us the latest.
24-year-old Shaden Storer was shot in the driveway of this home on Darcy Court near Upper Wentworth and Mohawk. It happened around 9:30 last night.
We believe that Shaden was unfortunately targeted. That was his address.
And then we heard shots, and then I saw a vehicle driving away without its lights on.
One neighbor says he heard 3 shots and came outside to see a Honda CR-V driving away.
Shortly afterwards, the police were very quick to get here.
Paramedics took the young man to the hospital, but he died a short time later.
They weren't able to do anything at the hospital for him, unfortunately.
Hamilton police say the man shot to death early Sunday morning at Ryobi restaurant on Upper Ottawa was 25-year-old Ali Gorbani. Investigators say he was shot multiple times and later died in hospital. Last year, police were on the hunt for Gorbani, who was wanted in relation to violent, targeted incidents. Police are now looking for his killers, 2 men who took off from the restaurant in dark clothing. And less than 24 hours later, and only 3 kilometers apart, another shooting. This time at a home on Algonquin Court off of Mohawk Road near Upper Kenilworth at around 1 o'clock this morning.
My daughter heard 6 shots from across the street.
A little freaked out. I mean, it's a little close to home.
The front window riddled with bullets, at least 8, each one marked by police. And the front door window shattered. another bullet through the door. Neighbors say an elderly woman lives here in this home alone.
Yeah, I've seen her around. I don't really know her, but I mean, I'm surprised to see it's that house. I mean, you just never know, I guess.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight in central Hamilton, where police are investigating the city's first murder of the year.
Yeah, they say yesterday evening a 39-year-old Hamilton man is dead after being shot and dumped in the Stinson area, leaving investigators with a search for a vehicle connecting the killings. Jason Gaidola reports.
Hamilton police say a 39-year-old Hamilton man was shot in the head and left at the intersection of Tisdale Street South and Erie Avenue yesterday evening.
This is an isolated murder. This is a murder where this victim was shot and dumped on the road.
Detective Sergeant Steve Berzuk says it all happened before 6 o'clock when emergency crews were called to the area and arrived to find the man needing CPR. He was pronounced dead shortly after in hospital, prompting the homicide investigation.
We came past Tisdale and there was 4 people standing around a gentleman who was lying on the ground.
In Hamilton, a man has died, marking the city's 10th homicide of the year. It happened after a fight at the motel in the city's southeast. Police say they were called to the Red Rose Motel around 9:45 this morning. Investigators say the victim was injured at the hotel and then found just east of it near a bus shelter.
Police are now investigating the city's latest homicide after a Hamilton man was shot and killed early this morning at a bar on the East Mountain. Sean Cowan has more from the scene.
It was around 2:30 this morning when a 26-year-old man was shot multiple times inside this bar and lounge right here at the shopping plaza. Police say the 26-year-old was taken to the hospital, but he did die. 2 men in dark-colored clothing were seen fleeing the scene at the time of the shooting.
So at the time of our investigation, we believe that a disturbance happened inside the bar between some of the patrons, and the victim was one of those patrons who was involved in the disturbance, and he was shot.
Anybody else injured?
No, there was not. Nobody else was shot. It was just the victim.
This man seen here on surveillance footage is 30-year-old Javal Williams Pownell. He was pumping gas on February 8th at this Pioneer station on King Street East near Grant when this man, Christopher Sube, approaches him. The men talk. Police say there was some sort of dispute, and as Sube gets in his white Audi to leave, Williams Pownell fires several shots at the man's car. The Crown in the case says, strangely enough, after the shooting, Williams Pownell pays for his gas before taking off. The Crown called the move sad and frightening at the same time. No one was hurt in the shooting, and the victim did not cooperate with police and didn't want to pursue the investigation. Williams Pownell said in court that he's been trying to turn his life of crime around and do better for his child. But he said that he has problems with people he doesn't even know and fears for his life. The judge said his behavior was reckless, firing a gun in a public place near homes and a sidewalk. And to this day, Williams Pownell still has not turned his gun over to police. He was sentenced to 7 years. Kelly Botello, CHCH News.